Hey there everybody, it's been another long while since I did a video. Sorry about that, if anybody's even paying attention. Interesting thing that happened, not that interesting, but when I first got back and reorganized my collection after over 30 years of not looking at it really, I took out all the good cards, separate them from all the commons, which a lot of them already were, but especially football was like completely disorganized for the most part. So I put all the quote unquote good football cards, most of them still not worth too much money other than a couple of them. And I had them, with my star player cards, and put the rest in a few boxes of commons. And I just went back through the boxes of commons a few days ago for the first time in over a year and realized, oh, there's some Hall of Fame guys in these football cards that I still didn't pick out. And there's guys that I knew were Hall of Famers, but they were like leaders cards, stuff like that, like Walter Payton on leaders cards. And when I first started reorganizing my cards, I didn't think I was going to put leaders cards in any single card with that player on it, with the good cards, the star cards, separated from the commons. But I do that now. So I pulled out tons and tons of cards to add to my star cards, the boxes I have of Hall of Famers and other stars and stuff. So baseball, probably since I was a little kid, I've known at least the name of most Hall of Famers, even ones, from 100 years ago when I was, 10 years old in the 80s. I knew at least the names of guys who played in 1910, and not all of them, but a lot of them. But football, there's offensive linemen from the 70s, even from the 80s, 90s, that I'm like, oh, that name rings a bell. I didn't know he's a Hall of Famer. So I'm a lot less of an expert. I'm not an expert on baseball Hall of Fame, but I'm a lot less on football. So it's always something to learn. So anyways, I just got to thinking, hey, how close am I to having at least one card of every single Hall of Famer, NFL or football Hall of Famer? I knew I wasn't going to be close. I don't have any cards from the 50s or, guys, whatever cards even exist from guys from the 30s or 40s or whatever. I don't have Johnny Unitas or Sid Luckman or anything like that. But my brother and I collected off and on from like 77, 78. We got a lot of 1978 Topps football cards, and just random years like 82 and 84 and 87. We have some. And then in the last year, I've just bought, usually there's just some football thrown in there. I don't buy a ton of football cards on purpose, but this one store will have like a 5,000 count box of cards for $10 or $15, and it's a lot of junk wax. But if it's a ton of years that I don't have for baseball, and there's some football, and individually each card is basically worthless, but if there's a lot of star players in there, then I'm going to add hundreds of star players to my collection that are just, 80s and 90s and 2000s cards that aren't rare. If it's cheap enough, I do it. So I have kind of a mishmash of more recent players and late 70s to mid 80s players. So I went through, typed every player who's in the Hall of Fame into Excel spreadsheet, did different lists for guys who were only coaches, were only owners, Art Rooney, stuff like that. So the ones that at least were a player for some of their career, let me see. I came up with 326, and I have 129. So just under 40% that I have at least one playing days card by. And little gray area, like I want it to be not a leaders card. So like one guy only had a leaders card, so I didn't count it. Eric Dickerson, I only had like a record breaker card, but at least it's an individual card, so I counted that one. So anyways, 129 out of 326 that I already have without really being much of a football collector. So I pulled out, as you see Tom Mack sitting here for a long time, I pulled out my stack of letter M cards, just to kind of show the mishmash of years I have. I really don't have that many. These John Mackeys, I don't even know what year that is. That's can't even tell from the back. It just says year for the previous year. A guy that I kind of casually made a trade with a little while back gave me some of these cards. I don't have many from that are that old. Not a Hall of Famer, but he's Archie Manning. And then here's some of the ones I probably got in those boxes. I know nothing about modern cards, so I'm sure these are all just quarter cards, basically. Again, one Merino leader. These Merinos are from my original collecting days as a kid. I think this Pro Set, 89 Pro Set, I remember my friend, like, this is the set to get. Like, we got to get all these cards. And I think that's, like, not very, I don't think he was accurate, but someone knows better than I am. But it seems like it's a lot of worthless cards from that set. Again, childhood cards here. Harvey Martin. Can't remember. Some of these are not Hall of Famers, but Bruce Matthews is. As I'm older, my ability to remember things I looked up a week ago, not so good. So I don't necessarily remember. Again, modern ones, McCaffrey. Basically anything 1990 and before are ones I had as a kid, mostly. And anything after that, like this, Donovan McNabb. Again, lots of non-Hall of Famers that I put. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I don't know. I do have a Joe Montana rookie, which I've shown before, and that's the only football card that I have graded, so I don't have that with me right here. But these Art Monks are childhood cards, most of them, and some more Joe Montanas. So I guess, you know, like, I need another project to spend money on. I might make it a slow going project to keep adding to the Football Hall of Fame list. I'm just going to throw a card up here just so there's something on the screen. So I still have some other commons I think I need to go through one more time. I might have some more recent guys that are Hall of Famers that I've skipped over still. So I might actually have a few others. And then it's an education for me to kind of see. I mean, I have like a Ronnie Lott rookie card, and I'm like, I wonder if this should get graded. And I mean, I'm just amazed at football. There are big time football cards. I'm just talking so ignorantly because I don't know much about football cards, but I feel like there's pretty big stars whose rookie cards are just still not even worth much. If, you know, the Ronnie Lott was going to grade a 10, I would do it, but it's not going to, and it just doesn't seem worth it to grade it. So I guess fortunately for trying to collect all the Hall of Famers, I think there's going to be a ton of them that are 70s through current day, who just to get one card by them, not even caring about rookies, I'll just be able to get for like really small money, I think. And then I delved a little bit in the last week into looking up, you know, players from the 30s, and, you know, a lot of those have one weird card, like a matchbook cover, or things that are extremely expensive and valuable as far as playing days. So my first impression is that players in the 30s and 40s for football have a lot less playing days cards than baseball players. But again, I haven't delved too deeply into it, but I'm going to. It'll be interesting and fun to see. I'd love to get a Johnny Unitas card and a Gale Sayers card. I've really been looking at Sid Luckman cards online. You can get some for still relatively inexpensively. My mom grew up in Chicago, and she was friends with Sid Luckman's son when she was a kid or a teenager. So I think she met Sid Luckman a few times. So I always kind of been a long distance fan of his or whatever, you know, way before my time as far as his playing. I still don't know that much about him and his career, but anyways, it'd be cool to add stuff like that to the collection. So I'm sure if anybody's out there watching, you probably know way more about football cards than I do. Feel free to correct me on all the mistakes I made, or give me some pointers or whatever. I just thought I'd share another project that's sort of getting started over here. Thank you.